Good evening, folks. Eclectic Impromptus. I hope you're having a good evening and had a good day. So, this is my rabbit Gizmo. She's going to hang out with us for a little while. That'd be cool if she got to hang out with us throughout this video, but if not, I'll just hit pause, put her back in her cage, and we'll continue on. So, Saturday I mentioned that there was some stuff I was going to talk about, do video clips on. And one of them involved growing, evolving, and changing, seeing myself from 18 to the present day. I'm 44. So today's video, grow, change, evolve, part one. This a new start to adulthood is this part of the episode, and it's starting out as me being an 18-year-old. So I'm gonna start my 18th birthday, which was March 14th, 1999. I was a senior at Auburn High School. There was a good place at Auburn High, but that place, I wish I'd gone to a different high school, but hey, there were good parts. I guess I can't complain too much, right? AC Gizmo. During this time, I did take some fun classes in 12th grade. English, Catcher in the Rye, had to read that. Yeah, I still love that novel to this day. I took psychology. I took a cooking class. That was really cool. I'm actually friends with one of my classmates to this day. So that's cool. I took a law class, just learning the basics about law in America. And French class, I took French, child psychology, and I got to hang out with preschoolers and play with them for the class periods. So that was fun. And of course, I took PE. So another thing I remember around my 18th birthday, I got my ears pierced. It was for the second time. The first time around, I was 12 and didn't quite understand the concept of taking care of my ears when they're pierced and they closed up. So got them done again. They're still pierced to this day. And then for my 18th birthday, I also had a slumber party with some of my girlfriends from school and from church. And we mostly just ate pizza, birthday cake, and we watched a lot of comedies. Some music I listened to back then was Jars of Clay, DC Talk, Newsboys, and Reality Check. At that time, they're Christian rock bands. Pretty cool music too. And then a few months after I turned 18, it was in June, I graduated from high school. And after the graduation was over, the same day I had my graduation party. And my family, some of my high school friends, and people from church attended. And we played a lot of volleyball, ate a ton of food, and just kind of hung out and had fun. And a couple of the graduation gifts I remember at this point. My pastor at the time, his late mom, got me this really beautiful collegiate looking sweatshirt, and I remember it being like a dark blue. It was a very beautiful color. Another couple from church got me these potted plants of pink impatient flowers, and they got to hang out on the front porch during the summer, so that was cool. Let's see. I got a camcorder and a TV set. I remember my parents telling me to go back to bed, and they put the TV in my room, told me to open my eyes, and they sang Happy Graduation Day. I remember that very well. That was fun and a good memory. And a family friend helped me sew a dress. I even got to wear this dress to my graduation day. And it was a pink and purple flowers on a white background. Really pretty dress. I think I still have that floating around in my closet somewhere. That same summer, I also got my first job at Wendy's, and that's off of Grand Ave if you live out in Auburn. Not the same as it was when I first started working there. To me, it seems like that's gone downhill like McDonald's or Burger King, but at the time, Wendy's was a great place, and it was a great first starter's job, and it was a lot of fun to work at. Took a little time to adjust, took a couple months, because this was my first job, and once I've adjusted, I was fine, and, liked what I did, and liked the people I hung out with, and my bosses were great, very patient with me, too, I might add. And when I wasn't working or attending church, that summer of 1999, I'd ride around Auburn on my bike. And, if I wasn't doing that, I would play computer games. Myst was one of my all-time favorites. I mean, that was a hard game, but going around exploring the main island, that was fun. And that particular summer, I think it was like late July, early August, I want to say. So it was right before I started going to CCC. I went to this Bible camp that lasted a week. Did this every summer while I was in high school, and fun times. You meet some of the coolest people, and just a change of scenery is always nice. This particular summer, the location of this Bible camp was in Connecticut. I've never been to Connecticut up until then. Beautiful state in the Bible camp. I remember the scenery relatively well. It was really nice and woodsy, and there was a lake where we could go swimming at and stuff. Let's see. Oh, I remember there was this bouncy mattress in the lake, right? So what you did was you'd go sit on the end of the mattress, and then somebody else would come up, jump from a higher platform onto the mattress, and then send you flying into the water. I remember one time I did a 360 circular flip and then went right into the lake feet first. Good times. Let's see. A few weeks after the Bible camp, yeah, there's Gizmo. Hi, Gizmo. Let's see. Where was I? I'm sorry, I lost my place, but I'm not complaining. Gizmo's well worth it. So a few weeks after this Bible camp trip, I started my very first semester at Cayuga Community College. I started out as a computer science major, but the classes were kind of hard, so I ended up switching to early childhood education at the end. And another thing I remember at the beginning, in addition to computer science being a lot harder than I realized, I kind of had some anxiety stuff, a lot of crying too. New beginnings, change. It was a little scary for me. And, graduating from high school, I was also dealing with the same thing. And, but, eventually once I got started, I got used to it, met some new people. A lot of them were really cool to be around. And, it ended up being a lot better than I expected. And graduating, of course, went a lot better than I expected. And it ended up being a fun experience for the most part, other than, maybe the studies, since, being a computer science major at the time, it was a lot harder and that was frustrating, but, still had a blast regardless. And another thing I remember, the night before I started this semester, I watched this movie called The Truman Show. I'm sure some of you, if not most of you, have heard of this movie. It has Jim Carrey in it. Really liked that movie going into my, being in my senior year. So just by chance, I ended up watching it with some of my church friends the night before school. And to this day, since I started doing studio art and design, I'll watch the movie the day before the first day of class of the school year. It's kind of just brings back good memories, and it's kind of a tradition for me. Let's see. And so, in spite of struggling with computer science, being a computer science major, juggling Wendy's and, everything else, that semester with its challenges, I managed to get straight C's, except for one class, and that was chorus, and I got an A in. After that semester's over, switched to early childhood education. Now, in spite of the challenges, I did have some good points. My chorus professor was a big, I really enjoyed her, and I hope she's doing well, and I hope she sees this video. Professor Carell was her name. She was an amazing lady, and I'm sure she still is. She picked a lot of fun songs. One song was The Chestnuts Roasting on an Open Fire. I've got a joke, but I'm going to hold off until a later time to share that as we get closer to Christmas, by the way. But that was one of the songs, and she had a fun version of that. I remember that very well. And a lot of like Renaissance-y type stuff, and then, maybe a little contemporary pop music thrown in. It was quite an interesting mix that she'd throw in. And I remember she was smart as a whip, not only with music, but a variety of subjects. I mean, she'd even talk about chakras and how music is associated. That would be an interesting video to do in the future. Look up music and chakras, how they're connected, and do a video on that. I think that would be cool. And one thing I'm never going to forget about Professor Krill, she appreciated me for being who I was. I'm an odd duck by nature. Definitely was at the age of 18. I appreciated the fact that she was good with me. I don't want to say not too many people are, but I've definitely come across a lot of people that aren't in a position. It's life, and it's okay. But she was definitely one that stands out, and I'm never going to forget that. Professor Krill, if you're watching this, thank you. She saw I had so much potential, planted a seed for me to become the person I am today. And I'm an alto, have a pretty good alto voice, and she's recognized that and really appreciated that. On a side note, not to toot my horn too much, I also have perfect pitch, and she definitely had noticed that right off the bat and thought that was the coolest thing ever. So I also appreciated that about her. Um, Another advantage was this Christian group called Basic. This stands for Brothers and Sisters in Christ. It's not the group's no longer there at the college for, I'm not sure what the reasons are. It could be budget cuts, or it could be, it could be a variety of reasons, but I think budget cuts might be a factor. But it did exist back in 1999, and we'd meet on Tuesday evenings and eat pizza, sing Christian songs, and hear about God's word. We'd also pray, get together, hang out to go bowling or go to a cafe and just hang out and stuff. And we'd have little parties. The group also originated from I think it was called First Love Ministries. I don't know if that church is in existence still either, but we used to sometimes have get togethers over there too, like on a Saturday night or something. So the people there were pretty cool. Some of the people in that group also got me out of my shell. At the time, I was extremely introverted. Still am, but definitely was back then. A little bit extremely naive, kind of shy about meeting new people. And uh, some of them kind of helped me get out of my shell a little bit and tried to get me to think outside the box at times. And one person in particular also encouraged me to join the school paper, which is now known as the Collegian. I haven't had a chance to join Collegian since I've been an art student, but I definitely remember being part of the Collegian within a matter of time after that semester was over, and I had a blast there. But that'll be more stories later on in the series. And another thing most of you guys will remember, at the end of 1999, we were going into the year 2000. You probably remember the Y2K. Apparently, this is where a lot of people thought the computers, once it went to January 1st, 2000, exactly at midnight, it was going to read as 00, but instead of 2000, it was supposedly going to go to the 1900. So that meant everything was going to become wonky and chaotic. We were no longer have power or technology, and it was supposedly going to be this chaotic end of the world, almost kind of like COVID 5 years ago. But fortunately, thank God it never happened, because I don't know how I'm sure we'd all figure it out. But at the same time, that wouldn't have been fun to have to go through that. COVID was bad enough. Y2K wouldn't have been fun either. So the first half of the second semester, I was still part of Basic, but I also joined the school paper called the Collegian and switched to early childhood education and met a ton of cool people along the way. And I'm going to continue on in the next part of this series at a later time. Might be next week on Monday, could be Saturday. We'll see what happens. But some lessons I have learned back at the year looking back on this, and this still applies to anyone regardless of age, and even I still have to apply it at times. So, one, changes can be very scary, but it can lead to positive experiences. I mean, you'd be surprised at what could happen. Don't be afraid to embrace that. Two, don't be afraid to meet new people and try new things. There's bad people out there, so yes, tread lightly, and if you're not sure, just ease into it. Take your time with the relationship. If you're not sure, do what you need to do to take care of yourself. But you're going to come across a lot of cool people too. So, got to take the bad with the good. Just be cautious with the bad, but embrace the good. 3, your first semester might be hard. I mean, you're adjusting from high school to college, or from the workforce to college, at whatever stage of life you're in. Be kind to yourself during this time, pace yourself, and pay no mind to people who tell you otherwise. I mean, just do the best you can. That's all I got to tell you. And this applies to teachers, in honor of Professor Carell. If you're a teacher and you see a student that has potential, feel free to encourage and nurture that. They might need that, and they're going to look back and thank you for that. That's it for today, and I hope you like this video. If you do, please click like, subscribe, and share, and I'll talk to you in a little bit. I'm going to make a thing on spaghetti, so I might do a video clip on that. We'll see how it goes. You say bye to Gizmo if you could see her. I know it's a little dark. All right. I'll talk to you in a little bit. Okay, bye-bye.